Hi everybody and welcome back to the Girly Girl Bookworm. So I hope that you have already watched the vlog of my 7/7 readathon, but this is my wrap up that talks about all the books that I read this week. So I'm going to start off with a book that I didn't read for the 7/7 readathon, but I read it before it. They never wrapped it up, so I might as well talk about it now. And that was The Friends We Keep by Susan Mallory. I gave this book 5 stars. This is the second book in this series. I can't even tell you what the series is called. I think it's like the Mischief Bay series. And I really didn't enjoy the first book. I read the first book last year, and it could put me in such a funk that I couldn't pick up the second book. And this one was so much better. So I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. This follows a bunch of women that live in this same area. I don't want to spoil this one because even though this one is very much separate from the first book, there is one character that definitely so the first book followed 3 women, and then this book is following a different 3 women, except one is the same. They carried over one, and you kind of see the other women in this. So they go to get they are companion novels, but not companion novels. So I'm interested to see because I think there's a third book, and I'm wondering if so Nicole was in the first book and she was in this one, so I'm curious if they'll keep her or if they'll pick a different one to keep. I don't know. But I don't want to spoil it. It's just women who are going through some tough times in their life, and yeah. I really enjoyed this one. This had a definitely better pace than the first one, so I'm excited to get to the third one. Now, on to the 7/7 readathon. I read 8 books, plus a little bit of a 9th one. The first book I read was Our Cottage by Denise Hunter. I gave this book 4 stars. This follows a man and this woman, and they were in love with each other, and then they got a divorce, and the guy got his taxes back, and they were you misfiled, you're still married. And she was like, what? We signed the divorce papers and everything, what's going on? Goes to his lawyer, and turns out the judge never signed their divorce, so they're technically still married. So he is so angry, and then he lives in this mountain area where he has a ranch. And the woman decides that she's going to drive up there to bring him the papers, so that way just to save some time, just to save him some heartbreak. And then this freak snowstorm happens, and they're stuck up there together, and it goes from there. I gave it 4 stars. I didn't love it as much as I've loved other books by her, but it was definitely interesting and lovely. I just felt there was one part where it just felt it was dull and draggy, and I didn't appreciate it as much as her other books, but I definitely enjoyed it. So 4 stars. I'm trying to keep this kind of quick because I did read a lot this week. So that was day 1, and then day 1 I started Reign of Shadows by Sophie Jordan. I finished this on day 2. This is a YA retelling of Rapunzel, where in this world her parents were killed and she gets put up in her little tower. But she is blind, and it is this place where an eclipse happens. Funny. An eclipse happens, which then puts them in complete darkness for 17 years, and there's only a little part of the day that there's light. And because of this, creatures have had to adapt to living in the dark, so creatures that are there are creepy as hell because they've had to adjust to living in the dark, and so it's scary. And one day her tower kind of gets attacked, and there's a guy, and it just goes from there of her leaving her tower, and so that was crazy. I gave this book 3.5 stars. It was one of those books that didn't feel like a 3-star, but it didn't feel like a full 4-star read to me. I enjoyed it, but I felt I didn't I read it and I was enjoying it while I was reading, but I wouldn't go being I love this book. So I felt it was that in the middle. It wasn't 3, but it wasn't 4 stars. But I would continue and pick up the second book, which will finish this duology, and I don't remember what that one's called, but I will look into that one. Then, so I finished that on book 2, and then finished that on day 2, and then started Ella and Myka by Jessica Sorensen. I'm trying to remember if I finished this on day 3. Yeah, I ended up finishing this on day 3, I believe. Yeah. I gave this book, I want to say I also gave this book 3 stars. This book, like, wasn't good, but it wasn't bad. It follows Ella, and she comes back to her hometown. She just kind of, like, ran away for, like, 8 months where Myka had no idea where she was. And so she's coming back to this town in drama because of her mother and her father, and she loves Myka, but she doesn't want to love Myka, and, like, drama. So I, like, it read really quickly, but I don't necessarily, like, know if I loved it or not, if that makes sense. Yeah, I definitely finished this on book 3 because I had book club that day. Yeah, so I definitely finished this on day 3. So the same day, I picked up on day 3 The Adjustment by Suzanne Young, and I gave this book 5 stars. Oh my god, I'm, like, blinking. No, I think I gave this book 4 stars. But, like, this is, like, it says book 5 on here, but, like, she had 2 prequel novels and 2 regular novels, and these are, like, post novels. So in my head, this is book, like, 3, even though, like, the prequel, I'm so confused, like, because the prequels are technically, like, 0.5, I don't know. It's crazy. So this is, like, part of the program series. Suzanne Young has a way of, like, you are just reading along, and then all of a sudden all this crazy stuff happens in the end that just, like, grips you like crazy. So I definitely really enjoyed this one. Can't wait to get to the next one because this one ended in such a way that was like, I need the next book. That's, like, how every time I read one of her books, that is exactly how I feel at the end. Give me more. That's all I have to say. And then I picked up somewhere I got ahead. So if that was day 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't know. I'm losing track of my days. Go watch my vlog. I read The Lion Game by Ruth Ware. I gave this book 4 stars. I didn't enjoy this much as I've enjoyed other Ruth Ware books. This follows this group of girls, and when they like meet in high school, they create this game called The Lion Game where they, like, tell people lies, and they get points based off of how convincing they are, who they convince, blah blah blah. And now it's in the future. And one of the girls sends this text message like, I need you, and they're like, alright, I'm coming. And this is, like, years later, and it kind of like brings up things that happened in the past back when they were girls playing this lion game. So it's like their past is coming back to haunt them. This one wasn't as gripping as her other book was. By the time the ending happened, I was like, oh my god. So the beginning was really slow, but then the ending really picked up, and I really enjoyed it. I just didn't enjoy it as much as her other 2 books. So 4 stars for this one. And then I picked up The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This book was really interesting to me. I gave this book 4 stars. This is, like, totally different from anything that I have read by her before. It follows this woman. She is, like, an old Hollywood starlet, and she requests this writer to come write an article for her, but really under side pretenses, she really wants her to write her, like, biography, and she can publish it once she's dead, pretty much. And it's, like, this Hollywood actress, so it follows her life, and it's chunked into 7 parts, which are all 7 of her husbands. And there's, like, a twist in here that, like, carries the theme throughout the whole book. But, like, you can't say said twist because I didn't know about said twist, and it was interesting once I got to that part. because it was like something I totally wasn't expecting. But like you just get so caught up into this Hollywood glamour and this drama and the backstabbing and the manipulation, and it's really good, just like not what I was expecting from her. And I didn't 100% love it, which is why I didn't get 5 stars, but it was definitely really enjoyable and recommend as always. And then I picked up The Writing Desk by Rachel Hawk. This is a book that I got in exchange for an honest review from the Fiction Guild, along with that Denise Hunter book. I didn't mention that. Rachel Hawk is like by far one of my favorite authors. She writes Christian fiction, and I like love her books to pieces. Like I always get nervous like when I go to pick her up that like she's gonna have some weird writing style that's gonna be hard to get into, and then I start reading, I'm like, why do I think that? Like that's not the case at all. This follows a girl as she has to write her second book for her publishing company because her first book was such a success, but she is having intense writing block. Like she doesn't know what to do, and all of a sudden her mom is calling her for help because she has cancer, and her mom has had like no relationship growing up, and her mom's like, I have to go through chemo, I need you, or I'm doing this alone. So she has to go down there to help her, and she's like, maybe this will help my like, you know, like writer's block. And while she's down there, there's this guy who works on like furniture, and he's going through his own drama, so that's exciting when they meet. And this also, like all of Rachel Hawk's books, like I've always said, it follows someone in the present and it follows someone in the past. So it follows someone in the past who is also, she's from the Gilded Age in New York, and she wants to be a writer, but her parents want her to get married. So there's lots of drama going on with that too. And I loved this book, and I gave this book 5 stars. It just transports you to wherever she wants you to go, and it just is so good. And I love when you finally find out the connection about these two characters, because you know that they're going to connect, because that's how all of our books work. And you're like, I'm just waiting for it. How's it going to happen? And it was so good. So good. And then I picked up All the Right Places by Jennifer Niven. I saved this for last because someone in my TBR video was like, I couldn't read anything after that. So I was like, alright, I'm saving for last just in case, because I do not want it to put me in a slump. And so I read this book, and I gave this one, I think I ended up giving this one 5 stars because I was at that point where this book was kind of like a 3-star read. And then the ending happened, which bumped it to like a 4. And then all of a sudden, like when I really thought of like the true meaning behind this whole book, I bumped it to 5. And this is about a girl and a boy, and they meet on this tower. You could tell that the girl and the boy are not in good places. Very like, we don't know if they're trying to kill themselves or not on this tower. And they both come off this tower, which then starts this friendship. They have to do this project for class, which takes them all around Indiana looking at places and just finding the meaning of life. Like he makes her find the reason to live again. And it is like intense. The ending breaks your heart a little bit. And I really enjoyed this book, and it's going to become a movie, I heard. So that should be interesting if it does. And I hope that they do it right and they do it justice. So it was actually pretty good. The reason why I was going to give it like 3-4 stars was because it is kind of drawn out a lot. And I felt like it could have had a quicker pace, but I'm sure like that is not the point of this book, was not to have a quicker pace. But I mean, it's almost 400 pages, so I felt like it could have been a little bit faster for a YA contemporary, but it's what it is. And then the book that I started, I haven't really gotten much further in since that readathon, and I started You'll Think of Me by Robin Lee Hatcher, and this is another Fiction Guild book where this girl, she was married, she has a kid, but like her husband like divorces her, and then he dies and leaves her his family's house, which means that she has to come back to the hometown that she ran away from, and things ensue. So I'm excited to finish this one. But yeah, those are all the books that